What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and it's time to officially give you my college football top 10 bowl games heading into the postseason / bowl season of the 2023-24 college football season. So it's now time to officially give you my top 10 bowl games. How this video is going to work, we're going to be pretty much, breaking down which bowl games that I think will be really fun to watch, and, some games that really could be really close, high-scoring games, and some of them, low-scoring games where they really could come down to the wire. And I know bowl games don't really mean anything, but, these are games where you just look forward to the future and everything. But we're going to give you my top 10 bowl games anyway here for the college football 2023/2024 college football season, as we are winding down this 2023 season mainly. So let's get right into my list here. We'll start from the bottom and work our way to the top. We'll start here with number 10, and that is the TaxSlayer Bowl. We got Clemson taking on Kentucky here. This game's at 12:30 Eastern Time on December the 29th on ESPN in Jacksonville, Florida. Clemson favored by 7 points in this one, and the over and under for this game is at 46.5. Clemson obviously ranked number 22nd in the college football playoff rankings. They've been kind of on a hot streak lately. They've been getting some really good wins, to end out their, season pretty strong. I know Clemson hasn't been the best team. They've been really disappointing and all that, but, Clemson is still a really good team in my opinion. I think I said in my top 25 video this past Monday and everything that I said that Clemson was like the best 8-4 team heading into the postseason, I think. So Clemson, they are sitting at 8-4. It's been a very up and down season for them, but they're heading to the TaxSlayer Bowl, taking on a Kentucky team that's been pretty up and down lately as well. They're sitting there at 7-5, coming off that win over Louisville in the rivalry weekend back in November. So Kentucky has a little bit of momentum going into this game. The question is, though, is Ray Davis going to be playing in this game? He's one of their top running backs heading into like the NFL draft and everything, but we've seen him make a decision already. But there is rumors out there that he might play in this game, so I don't really know if that's true or not, if he just kind of faked it out and everything, but we'll see what happens. If he does play in this one, I think Kentucky might have a chance to win it here, but if he doesn't play in that game, I think Clemson will demolish Kentucky, because Kentucky last year got really beat badly in their bowl game against Iowa, but that was a Big Ten team. Clemson is an ACC team and everything, so Kentucky's had a little bit of success against ACC teams. I mean, obviously they did that against Louisville, and they obviously did that, of course, over the years in bowl games. So we'll see what happens here, but I think this should be a pretty entertaining game here in the TaxSlayer Bowl. Again, it's Clemson versus Kentucky here on December the 29th in the TaxSlayer Bowl, number 10 here on this list. All right, how about number 9? We got the Music City Bowl. We got Auburn and Maryland. This game's at 2 o'clock Eastern Time on December the 30th. Auburn favored by 2.5 in this one, and the over and under is at 50.5. So Auburn goes 6-6 here in their first year under head coach Hugh Freeze and everything. I think Hugh Freeze did a pretty good job for this Auburn team in his first year, even though they went 6-6 overall this year. But I think this future is looking pretty bright for Auburn. And plus, they were very competitive against Alabama back in the month of November. So based off of that loss and everything, just by 3 points, I think Auburn has a good momentum going into this game against a pretty average Maryland team. Maryland sometimes does have a pretty good offense, so I think they're going to probably just want to score some points in this game. Defensively is what I'm concerned about for Maryland, but I think we're kind of expecting a pretty good one here. And usually when I put the Music City Bowl, I like to put the Music City Bowl and everything in my list just because it's always a very entertaining bowl game, whoever plays in it. Like, whether it's like another SEC or Big Ten type team. We did see that a couple years ago with Tennessee and Purdue. So I think we might see it again here with Auburn and Maryland. Which team will, look better in the future here for both of these teams heading into 2024. And that's what the bowl games are usually about. It's usually about the future of the programs and, some futures for like, small programs. Like, for example, it's about Auburn. They're sitting there at 6-6, looking to finish out Hugh Freeze's first year at 7-6. And then for Maryland, they're just trying to finish strong as well to have a bright future and, keep competing for the Big Ten and everything. But this game's at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. It's the Music City Bowl here between Auburn and Maryland, number 9 here on this list. Number 8 is going to be the Texas Bowl. We got Texas A&M and then Oklahoma State. This game will be at 9 o'clock Eastern Time on December 27th, so 2 days right after Christmas. Texas A&M favored by 3 points in this one, which does surprise me here, sitting there at 7-5. Oklahoma State went to the Big 12 championship, and plus they're ranked number 20 in the playoff rankings, which does really surprise me here. And the over-and-under is at 53.5. So I am kind of surprised that Oklahoma State's, not the favorite in this game, even though they're like the ranked team. And Texas A&M just fired Jimbo Fisher back then in the later part of the season. Yeah, that really does surprise me here. Texas A&M at 7-5, and then Oklahoma State here at 9-4. Maybe it's just because, Oklahoma State, they had that bad loss in the Big 12 championship game, against Texas and everything. But really, I don't think they should have been penalized really that badly in that loss, because Texas is really a better team than Oklahoma State. And it looked like Oklahoma State was not on the level of Texas in that Big 12 championship. But I still think this is a pretty good Oklahoma State team. I think they have a pretty good chance to win out the year with 10 wins. The future is really looking bright for next year for Oklahoma State. The new Big 12 teams coming up next year. It's really going to be a tough one there for the conference next year. Texas A&M has a new head coach already. It's the Duke head coach coming over next year for Texas A&M, so we'll see what the future looks like here. But we'll see what the future looks like for both of these teams in this bowl game against the Big 12 versus the SEC in the Texas Bowl. And again, this game's at 9 o'clock Eastern Time on December 27th, and this is my number 8 bowl game heading into bowl season of the college football season. Moving on to number 7, we got the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. We got Iowa versus Tennessee. This game's at 1 o'clock Eastern Time on New Year's Day, January the 1st. So this is the first official game on 2024. The game will be on ABC in Orlando, Florida. Tennessee favored by a field goal in this one, and the over and under is at 35.5. So no surprise there that the over and under for this game is pretty low. You look at Iowa this year coming off that tough loss to Michigan in the Big Ten Championship, sitting there at 10-3. And again, it's really about the defense for Iowa this year. The defense has been really absolutely dominant, but the offense is just absolutely terrible for Iowa. They just can't seem to score any points, and that's why the over and under for this game is just so low. Tennessee's a great offensive team. It's been an up and down season. They've had like 4 good losses to like really some pretty good teams in the SEC, except for Florida. Florida, turned out to be 5-7, so that's like a bad loss there. But they did lose to Missouri, Alabama, and Georgia. 3 good teams in the SEC this year. So Tennessee sitting there at 8-4, heading into this Citrus Bowl matchup against Iowa. Tennessee's future is looking pretty bright. They have recruited pretty well. Josh Heupel has done a pretty good job, I believe, here in his first 3 years at Tennessee, now heading into his 4th year next year. And again, the future is looking pretty bright for Tennessee. They got some good recruits coming in next year, so we'll see what the future looks like. And obviously, Joe Milton will probably play in this game. I haven't really heard any news, so I assume Joe Milton's going to be playing in this game. Again, it's been a very up and down season for Tennessee, but I think they definitely will be ready for this Iowa team. There is like 2 opposites here between these 2 teams. Like Iowa, for example, they're not a good offensive team. They're absolutely terrible, but they're a really good, dominant defensive team. And in Tennessee, their offense is very explosive. It hasn't been like that this year, but defensively, that's where their biggest weakness is. But I think defensively, Tennessee might be able to make some stops here in this game, but we'll see what happens. I think this is going to be a low-scoring type game. And again, this is the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl here between Tennessee and Iowa. Again, this game's at 1 o'clock Eastern Time on ABC. This game is number 7 on my list. Number 6 is the Tony the Tiger Bowl, the Sun Bowl. It's Oregon State and Notre Dame, 2 o'clock Eastern Time on December the 29th on CBS. Notre Dame favored by 8.5 in this one. Notre Dame coming in here at number 16 in the playoff rankings. The future is looking pretty bright for Marcus Freeman as the head coach for Notre Dame, trying to end out the year with 10 wins here in his 2nd season. Obviously, the help of Sam Hartman and everything at quarterback's really been a bright thing for this Notre Dame team all season long. They do have like really good losses, like 3 good losses this year. They did lose to Ohio State. They did lose to Louisville, and they obviously did lose. The other loss came to some other team, Clemson. It was Clemson. That was another good loss for them there. So Notre Dame, the future is looking pretty bright for Marcus Freeman and this Notre Dame team. And then Oregon State here at number 19. Bad news here for Oregon State. They're sitting there at 8-4. Not just about the record here, but DJ Ogule did transfer from this Oregon State team, so he's not going to be playing in this Sun Bowl against this Notre Dame team. I really like to see him play in this one just to get that experience before he heads over to a transfer and everything. But the transfer portal has been absolutely crazy, which we're going to talk about some other quarterbacks in just a minute about this 2023/2024 season. The transfer portal has been really crazy so far throughout the postseason and everything, and obviously DJ Ogule will now transfer from this Oregon State team. I don't know why he's transferring. I don't really know the reason of that, but we'll see what happens there, and we'll see what school he ends up going to. But this should be a pretty good game here in the Sun Bowl between the Irish and the Beavers. Again, this game's at 2 o'clock Eastern time on CBS, and again, Notre Dame favored by 8.5. The Sun Bowl here is number 6 on my list. Let's go to the top 5 now. We got the Poptarts Bowl. We got NC State and Kansas State, the ACC versus the Big 12 in this one. And this game will be at 5:45 Eastern time on December the 28th. So this game is 3 days right after Christmas. And this game is on ESPN in Orlando, Florida. Kansas State favored by 3.5 in this one, and the over and under is at 47.5. You look at the difference here between these two teams. Kansas State obviously coming off a loss to Iowa State to end out the year of 2023 in the regular season. NC State's been on a hot winning streak. They've been a lot better ever since, the first half of the year. Second half of the year, this NC State team has looked like a better team. And I think they've been kind of a very big surprise as well. I didn't really expect NC State to be good this year. I did still predict them to go to a bowl game, but I didn't really expect them to get to 9-3, and they do have a chance to end out the year with 10 wins. So I think we're kind of expecting a pretty good dogfight in this game. I think Kansas State and NC State both have pretty bright futures. The future is definitely looking really bright for NC State, so we'll see if they win out the year with 10 wins and everything. So Kansas State and NC State here in the Poptarts Bowl at 5:45 Eastern time on December the 28th. This game is number 5 on my list. Let's go to number 4 now. We got the Alamo Bowl. We got Arizona and Oklahoma. The game's at 9:15 Eastern time on December the 28th on ESPN. Arizona, surprisingly, favored by 3 points, which I don't really think that's a surprise. A lot of people think it's a surprise, but I don't think it's a really big surprise anyway. And the over and under for this game is at 62.5. Arizona, they've been a very big hot team this year. They're sitting there at 9-3, chance to end out the year with 10 wins, and heading to the Big 12 heading to the Big 12 conference next year. And the future is definitely looking bright for Arizona next year in the Big 12, because that Big 12 conference next year is going to be stacked. But Arizona, they've been definitely a very big surprise team. Did not expect them to get to 9 wins. I kind of predicted this team to go 5-7. I didn't think, they were going to get to a bowl game just because of how tough the schedule was. But Arizona has been a very big team this year. They definitely have been a very big surprise as well. And plus, they've been really playing some solid football. This might be the most balanced team in the Pac-12. And then on the other side, Oklahoma, obviously, sitting there at 10-2, number 12 in the playoff rankings. Obviously, Dylan Gabriel, the transfer, there. Dylan Gabriel transferred away from this Oklahoma team, so that's going to be a huge loss for this Oklahoma offense. The future is going to probably, I think the future for Oklahoma is going to look like at quarterback in this game. We're going to see who really is the future of this Oklahoma offense, who's going to be the future at quarterback for this Oklahoma team. But I think we're going to expect a pretty good matchup here. I mean, again, I don't really think it's a very big surprise that Arizona's favored by 3 points in this game just because Dylan Gabriel transferred away from Oklahoma. So we'll see what it looks like here going into this game in the Alamo Bowl here at 9:15 Eastern time on December the 28th. And again, this game is number 4 here on my bowl list. So it's Arizona versus Oklahoma here in the Alamo Bowl. Let's now go to number 3. And it's the Peach Bowl. We got Ole Miss and Penn State, noon Eastern time on December the 30th on ESPN. Penn State favored by 3.5 in this one. You got 2 top 15 teams here in the playoff rankings, both sitting there at 10-2. Both of these teams, they're kind of, they're quite similar here to one another. You got Ole Miss with 2 really good losses this year to really the top 2 teams in the SEC, to Alabama and Georgia. And then for Penn State, they did lose to, Michigan and Ohio State in the season. So both of these teams are pretty similar. One of these teams is going to get their 11th win. One of these teams is going to finish out the year at 10-3. I do kind of expect a pretty good matchup here in this game. Ole Miss has the better offense, obviously, but Penn State might have a really good defense going into this game as well. So we'll see what happens in this one. Again, this game's at noon Eastern time on December the 30th, and it should be a pretty good matchup here in the Peach Bowl between Ole Miss and Penn State. They're here at number 3 on this list. Number 2 is Missouri and Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. This game's at 8 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN in Arlington, Texas. Missouri favored by 2.5 in this one. Yeah, Missouri favored in this game, which does really surprise me a lot. Ohio State ranked, number 7 in the playoff rankings, and obviously they're sitting there with 1 loss coming off that loss to Michigan back in November. But Missouri, let's be honest, they've been a very big surprise team this year. They are absolutely loaded with talent on both sides of the football, especially at wide receiver. They're sitting there at 10-2. The future is looking pretty bright for Missouri and Eli Drinkwitz. Again, their 2 losses come to LSU and Georgia. They were absolutely competitive against Georgia in that game back in the month of November. That was actually the first official game that they had in the month of November. And for Ohio State, bad news for them. They're going to not have Kyle McCord in this game, so we'll see who starts at quarterback for this Ohio State team. With Kyle McCord transferring away, I think this game could be very entertaining, and I wouldn't be shocked here if Missouri pulled off an upset here in this game. I mean, Missouri has a chance in this one. Do I think they're on the level of Ohio State? Maybe, but I don't really know about that just yet because Ohio State's got a pretty good defense, and they obviously they do have some talent on offense, but, Marvin Harrison, you see them here at wide receiver. He hasn't made his decision yet. As of this recording, he hasn't made a decision yet whether he's going to play in this game or go to the NFL draft. So we'll see what decision he makes here. Again, this game's at 8 o'clock Eastern time on December the 30th on ESPN. And again, this is the Cotton Bowl here. Missouri favored by 2.5. But this is not the number 1 most exciting bowl game heading into the postseason / 2023-24 college football season. And let's go to my number 1 bowl game heading into bowl season. And that number 1 bowl game is the Orange Bowl. We got Georgia versus Florida State, 4 o'clock Eastern time on December the 30th. Georgia favored by 14 in this game. I mean, that really does surprise me here. Georgia favored by double digits against an undefeated Florida State team. And then the over and under for this game is at 44.5. So obviously Jordan Travis injured in this game for Florida State. No starting quarterback for them. And obviously we don't know the status about their backup quarterback, their second string guy. Florida State had to play their third string quarterback in the ACC championship. And then obviously I think that, really got them out of the college football playoff as well. A lot of people think Florida State was robbed out of the college football playoff. Again, I don't think it was a robbery. I think it was probably the right move. I really don't know how to explain it, but Florida State sitting there at 13-0. It's been a really good season for Florida State, but against this Georgia team that's coming off a loss to the Alabama Crimson Tide in the SEC championship, they're just loaded with talent. I mean, that's all I can really say about this Georgia team. I don't think Florida State is on the level of Georgia, to be honest. I don't think this game could be really turning out that close. I really don't know if it's going to be a close game or not, but, Florida State, again, they're just trying to finish out the year pretty strong. Obviously, Jordan Travis is going to be a huge loss for this Florida State team, so we'll see what the status is here for this Florida State team. Either they play their second-string quarterback or maybe their third-string quarterback. But Georgia comes into this game, they're kind of, fired up after that loss to, Alabama. Maybe they will be fired up for this game, and they'll probably send, Florida State, probably not with a bright future. But I think the future is bright for Florida State. But, for Georgia, again, I don't think Florida State is on the level of Georgia, to be honest. I mean, I just don't really think this game is going to be close. Again, that spread does surprise me there at 14 points, but again, I could see why that spread number is really high here because Florida State doesn't have Jordan Travis in this game. If Jordan Travis was going to be playing in this game, I think they definitely would have, been a lot closer here. But, if, if he was not even playing in this game, I think the spread is definitely correct here. But again, Georgia favored by 14 going into this Orange Bowl game. Again, I don't think Florida State is on the level of Georgia, so we may not see them win this game. So we'll see what happens here. But I think this is the number one most exciting bowl game heading into bowl season of the 2023/2024 college football postseason / of course, bowl season of the 2023 season. So these are my top 10 bowl games heading into bowl season of the 2023/2024 college football season. Let me guys know what you think about these top 10 bowl games, and also give me your top 10 bowl games down in the comments below. Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned here for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports channel.